this is because a lot of people feel that you need to be on a particular diet to get to your goals. And I feel that diets, the word diet, has been used around a lot, right? Where it's almost in a negative light. And the reason I say stop dieting is because when someone takes a diet, for example, they take a particular diet, they give up certain things or they have a certain belief. For example, like a carnivore diet, you give up a lot of plant-based foods, or if we polarize it more to a vegan diet, people stop eating meat, all animal byproducts. Then we can go into other realms, which is more in between, like vegetarian, pescatarian, which is like you're only eating fish with more plant-based foods. Intermittent fasting, where you're eliminating a lot of time. You're changing your meal timing. So then having 3 to 6 meals per day, you're moving more into maybe 1 or 2 meals per day, right? When it comes to diets, there's always some type of sacrifice or structure that you have to follow. And people feel that when you go into that diet, that's the magic pill to help you lose weight, right? But the reality is that when it comes down to losing weight, it's not really based on just the diet alone. Okay. So some people are saying that they're not hearing sound. Let me know if that's the case, or because I see the microphone is working on my end, maybe it's just that individual. But with that said, when it comes down to the diet, it's not just that. Okay. The diet is pretty much the structure. I always say the diet is the structure on how you want to eat, right? So before you pick the diet, oh, you can hear me? All right, great. So if you want to pick a particular diet, you want to make sure that that's the style of eating that you want to start doing. Okay. That's what you want to do. So don't just pick a diet just for numbers on the scale. Pick the diet for the style or the way that you want to eat. Okay. So for me, for example, I'm on a plant-based diet, right? So plant-based means that I'm only eating plant-based foods. That's it. And that's the way I want to eat. Does everyone who's in my program, all my students, eat a plant-based diet? No. Some people eat different types of diets. We in my company at Body HD Fitness, we push more like a plant-based / holistic style of eating. So when it comes to holistic, like they can eat animal byproducts, but it's the healthiest way of eating. Like we're looking for like the cleanest animal byproducts. Okay, that's what we're doing. So, but me in person, mostly eat a plant-based diet. Okay, so 0 animal byproducts. Now, when it comes down to the results, let's say how they want to lose the weight, what we're doing is we're taking the diet and then we convert it into the actual meal plan. And then within the meal plan, right? And what the meal plan is just a structure. It's just a tool. It's not like it's not a cheat sheet to help you to just automatically going to help you lose weight. It's used as a tool so you're able to follow something to learn how to eat better. Because the problem is that a lot of people don't know how to eat right. Okay. So what we do with the meal plan is when I create this meal plan, and I can show y'all an example pretty soon. When I show y'all the meal plan, first we give you your total caloric and your macronutrients. Okay. So what I mean is like your calories and your macronutrients. So calories is considered more of a unit of heat, right? And then this is how we measure energy when it comes to food. And then your macronutrients is your large nutrients. These are like your protein, carbs, and fat. They're essential for being healthy. Okay. So certain diets will eliminate certain types of macros, which I'm not a big fan of because they're essential. Okay. But if you want to eat that way, then and you want to stay like that for pretty much a good portion of your life, then that's fine. Like someone who's on a carnivore diet, if they want to eat nothing but meat and exclude all plant-based foods, that's on them. You know what I mean? But remember, it because I've even spoken to other individuals who tried this diet, they either failed at it or B, they're using it as a diet tool. And when I tell them about long-term results, I'm like, okay, so if you're only eating animal-based foods, is this something that you can accept and eat for the rest of your life? Because, remember, like when you're going out and stuff, are you just going to order steak? Or if you're going to a movie theater, you're just going to get the burger without the bun, and that's all you're going to eat. Is that the way you want to live? If someone says yes, then that's fine. But if someone says no, they're on the wrong diet. So it's the same thing with me. If someone asks me, like, are you going to eat nothing but plant-based foods for the rest of your life? I could easily say, yeah, because I've been doing it for 13 years. You know what I'm saying? I accepted the diet, so I've been doing it for 13 years. So for me, it's fine. But I'm not doing it just for numbers on the scale. I have my reasons. My reasons is because I followed the approach of the longevity diet. The longevity diet is more focused on Mediterranean and plant-based style of eating. So when you look at the studies, when it comes to the Blue Zone studies, it states that individuals that lived over 100 years old was able to, the foods that they were eating was around 90 to 95% plant-based. So since that number is so high, I'm like, I might as well just go 100 because it's not a big deal. But then also on the other hand, when you're looking into the science and into the studies, I'm not looking at the reduction of meat. I'm looking at the studies, and this is something that I always tell people, like, I'm not looking at all the studies that contradict animal byproducts. You're going to see good studies and bad studies. I'm looking at the studies that has the most positive reviews on food in general. And what you'll see is when it comes to plant-based foods in general, it's overwhelmingly more positive than negative. You know what I'm saying? It's the animal byproducts that has a mixed review, where it talks mostly about overconsumption, right? Not saying that you can't eat it at all, but the overconsumption. So this is why in my company, we teach a more holistic and plant-based style approach. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's what you want to do, is focus on the type of diet you want to do. Always say that. So if you're someone who's on the fence and you're like, hey, I want to eat like animal byproducts, I can never go vegan, I can never go plant-based, I highly recommend doing a holistic or Mediterranean diet approach. Mediterranean and holistic really falls within the same lines, right? I would definitely say do that instead, because you're not excluding anything out of your diet. You're just finding lean meats, and you're also incorporating a lot of plant-based foods into your diet. And you want plant-based foods into your diet. You want the berries, you want the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the seeds. You want the dietary fiber. This helps prevent any of the negative side effects from the animal-based foods, from the saturated fat, the cholesterol, and the lack of fiber it has. Okay, so that's something that you really want to look for. Now, before I continue, I'm just going to read off certain comments because I see people are commenting. We got King of Just Have says 70% animal foods and other foods for the rest is best for longevity. 7% animal foods and other foods for the rest. Well, I wouldn't say 70% animal food. I don't understand what you mean, but like the only thing I'm going to say is I'm just going to repeat what I said. It's like when it comes down to the Blue Zone studies, majority of individuals that live past 100 okay, was eating mostly a plant-based diet. So it was like 90 to 95%. So when you're talking about health, health equates to longevity, and that's where it boils down to. And if you live in the United States, we have a blue zone. It's in Loma Linda, California. And in Loma Linda, California, it's actually a religious group. It's called the Seventh-day Adventists. They lived over 100 years old. So and they eat mostly a plant-based diet. Okay. So that means that when it comes to the food, when it comes to the foods that they're eating, 80, like 90 to 95% is going to be plant-based, and that small 5% is going to be animal-based. Okay. And we're talking about from a big population of people. Okay. So that's what we want to look at the most. And then let's see some people on Instagram. Let's see. We need a whole derail video, probably on YouTube rather than Instagram. Yeah, I could definitely do some. I could definitely do like a long form, of course. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So let's get back to it. So when it comes down to the diets and everything, pick a diet that's going to work for you, that you enjoy. Then now you want the results, right? So when it comes down to the results, if let's say you're trying to lose body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Okay. You probably heard this multiple times. Calorie deficit means that you have to be burning more calories than what you're actually consuming. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a meal plan, right? I'm just going to pull up a random meal plan and then try to share it with you guys. All right. Because these are the meal plans that I actually write for my clients. Okay. Let's see if I can share screens from here. Just give me a moment. All right. So this is the meal plan here. Okay. And I'm going to try to blow this up. All right. So this is the meal plan that, like, example, like this is actually one of the meal plans that I write for one of my clients. So let's say that you're trying to lose body fat. So the first thing you want to do is understand how many calories you're consuming, okay? Or what you're burning. So for example, a great way to learn this is there's two ways you could do this. One way is you could get like a Apple Watch or any type of calorie, something that tracks your calories, caloric burn throughout the day. So I have an Apple Watch. And then throughout the day, you can find out your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, and then also include your workout caloric burn. Because when you're working out, you're going to be burning calories. And then when it comes to your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, it's going to tell you exactly how many calories you're going to be burning throughout the whole entire day. Okay. Once you have that number, then is a good place to start is you take the total calories. So let's say with this individual, Gregory, right? He wanted to lose weight. And let's say we tracked his total calorie day, his total caloric burn for the day, and it was like at 2,000. So I'm going to bring it down to 1,600, maybe even 1,500, right? Now, some people might say that 1,600 calories is too low. It's not low depending on the individual, because if you're not burning that many calories, nothing's considered low. All right. Because if your metabolism is really slow and you're not burning a lot of calories, it doesn't matter with how many calories you're actually eating in the meals. Okay. Meals could be too low if you're not getting enough nutrients and you're not eating the right foods to keep yourself satiated and keep your body nourished. Okay. But that's what I'm going to show y'all how to do that moving forward. So, for example, let's say with Greg, he's only burning about 2,000 to 2,100 calories a day. So to be in that deficit, that means you have to be eating less than what you're burning. So if we put down about 1,600 or even 1,500 calories, okay, that means each day he's in a 400 to 500 calorie deficit. That means he's missing 400 or 500 calories, which means that his body has to utilize the body fat as energy, because that's what fat is. Fat is stored energy. So you can actually start losing. Okay. And then you have to kind of think about, to lose 1 pound, you have to, 1 pound equates to 3,000 to 3,500 calories. Okay. So that's why you have to be in a deficit, because to lose actual 1 pound of fat, 1 pound of fat equates to 3 to 3,500 calories. So if he did this for a whole entire week, and let's say it was 500, he was in a 500 calorie deficit for a week, was 5 times 7, 3,500. See, it's all math. That's all it is. This is why it's important when you're in a deficit to stay consistent, because it's just a numbers game. That when I tell people it's a numbers game, it's literally a numbers game. If you eat a little bit over, a little bit, a little bit over, a little bit less, and you're not like doing it on a consistent basis, it's going to be very difficult to lose the body fat. Okay, so it's just numbers. That's all it is. So this is why when it comes to your workouts, it has to be pretty aggressive, right? And you have to make sure you're burning a good amount of calories per day, so you can actually start seeing results on the scale. Because if you're not burning too much, then you're not going to see the results, especially if your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, is also low as well. Okay. So people that has a higher BMR is individuals that's very active. Why? Because their metabolism is a lot faster. So if like for someone like me, my BMR runs around 35 to 4,000 calories. Okay. So that's why I'm like on social media, I show y'all like how you eat pancakes. I could eat this and that. I could eat whatever, because my BMR is very high, because my exercise is high. I'm burning about 2,000 plus calories every time I train. But then when I'm at home, because I have a fast metabolism and because I have a lot of muscle as well, this helps me burn more calories. Okay. So that's why I'm able to do it. But for everyone else, it's not going to be the same. Everyone's going to be different. So that's why every meal plan has to be customized for every individual. Now, the next thing we want to focus on is the macronutrients, right? Your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats, right? So this has to be balanced as well. So because if you're not getting a proper amount of protein and you're only getting carbs and fats in your diet, in that deficit while you're training, you could also burn muscle at the same time. And you don't want to burn muscle, because remember, muscle mass is going to help you burn more calories at rest. So for example, every 10 pounds of lean muscle that you have, this is what equates to your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. Every 10 pounds of muscle that you have helps you burn an extra 3,500 calories within a week. Okay. So that means you want to have more muscle. Doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. The more muscle you have, the more muscle you can build, the faster your metabolism becomes. Okay. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. So you want to make sure that you're getting a proper amount of protein in that deficit, so you can retain the muscle that you have and continue to build in a deficit. And then you want to make sure your carbs and your fats are at a good place, because fats play a good role when it comes to hormone production. Also, since it's higher in calories, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. It has a more slower burn within the body, so it's going to help you stay more satiated. But then your carbs, depending where you're getting your carbs from, carbs is going to play a big role, because that's going to be your your immediate energy. Okay. So you want to make sure you're getting an upper amount of that. Now, remember, one of the things that I do with a lot of my students for weight loss, we do a low carb diet, but it's not low, like ridiculously low where someone's not performing, because we balance it out with the fats and the protein. And the ratio that I like to use, and I would definitely take notes on here, my favorite ratio for weight loss is going to be 40% protein, 25% of carbs. Well, sorry, 35% protein, 25% of carbs, and then 40% fat. That's usually my go-to ratio for weight loss. So I'll repeat it again. So if you download MyFitnessPal and you put in the ratio, right, for your macros, put in 35% protein, 25% carbs, 40% fat. This is a great way to start off, okay? Because that 40%, if 40% of your diet is coming from fats, it's going to help you feel more satiated. 25% of your carbs is considered low, but it's what type of carbs are you getting to create more volume? And I'm going to go over that next. And then again, with your protein, this is to prevent muscle loss and be able to maintain or build while you're in that deficit. Then what we have here is the actual food in the grocery list. So when it comes to the carbs, right, the best carbs, I'm starting off with carbs first, because since I talked about the low carb, right, the best carbs you want to get is going to be from your vegetables and fruits, okay? And the reason I say vegetables and fruits in weight loss is because the vegetables and fruits are the lowest in calories, but more nutrient dense. So that means that you're going to get a lot of vitamins and minerals from the fruits and vegetables, but it's very low in calories. And here's the kicker. It's also high in fiber. So because it's high in fiber, that means it's going to slowly burn throughout your body. It's going to slow down the digestion. You want a slow digestion because when it's burning slow in your body, it's going to help you stay full. It's going to help you feel more satiated in that deficit. Okay. I don't really recommend rice. I don't really recommend beans in weight loss. Maybe sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes is a good alternative, but like, I don't really recommend rice and beans. They are healthy, but it's more calorically dense, right? So it takes away the volume. So just to put this in perspective, for 1 cup of rice is about 44 grams of carbs. Okay. So a cup of rice is like a handful of rice. Okay. But if I compare that to strawberries, right? A cup of strawberries, another handful, is only 11 grams of carbs. So that means I can eat 4 cups of strawberries that would be more equivalent to 1 cup of rice. Does that make sense? So obviously you can get more volume, and I'm going to get more full on the strawberries, 4 cups of strawberries, that's compared to that rice. Okay. And then obviously, if I compare it to processed foods, that's a whole nother story, because like 1 candy bar could be about 40 grams of carbs, and it's just a stick, right? The candy bar is like my pen, it's like 2 pens put together, 2 or 3 pens put together, right? That's the size of a candy bar, right? 2, 3 pens put together. And it's literally that size. All right. 40 grams of carbs right there, easily. Versus a cup of rice is a lot bigger. But then if I compare it to strawberries, it's way bigger. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's why I pick more fruits and vegetables in weight loss. And that's why you see a lot of my clients, a lot of my students, they get faster results. Okay. So as you see in the meal plan, we put like kale. If we see here, zoomed out. If we see here, like I put down like everything there. Like I put down like the grams, right? Because if you do grams versus cups, I kind of mix it up a little bit. But for certain foods, if you do grams, you're going to get more volume of food. So like chopped kale, 113 grams is about 10 grams of carbs, 5 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat. And I put the macros there too, so people know that they're also getting protein, because you don't have to get protein from one particular source. Okay. You get protein from everything that you eat. There's protein in everything, in all foods. So if you combine it together, you can get the protein consumption as well, versus just over consuming one particular protein item. So we have your lean proteins, like the extra firm tofu. Okay. If you don't want to do extra firm, you could do lean meat. You could do eggs. All right. So for example, like 70 grams of protein. I mean, that's a whole block. So like, to compare that to like a lean piece of steak, you're talking about like maybe 3, 6, like eight to 9 ounces of steak. And it has to be a lean cut, right? Like a 93% lean, cut type of meat. But the only difference between that versus the tofu is that with the tofu, you're not going to get a lot of saturated fat, and you're getting zero cholesterol. Okay. So from my take, the tofu would be the healthier choice. But again, if we have someone that's in our program that does consume animal byproducts, we'll show them the better alternative when it comes to that. And we also give them like a choice of what they can do, right? So because how I look at it is food at the end of the day, right? So you just want to understand what you're putting inside your body. That's the understanding that I try to teach a lot of my students. Like, as long as you understand what you're doing and what you're putting into your body, I don't care. So we have the protein, like lean extra firm tofu. Then we have the beefless crumbles, which has 1 cup, 55 grams, about 27 grams. We have the Just Egg, like an egg alternative, like 10 grams. The tofurkey Italian sausage, 30 grams. Okay, so we got the protein here. What I like to do too is even show you like a meal plan for, just so if there's someone who does consume meat, right, and they're watching this, I want to go ahead and show them how we create those meal plans as well. All right. So just give me a second as I pull that up. Just hold on. Let me see if I can find someone. All right. No, that's not it. Hold on. All right. Oops. Okay. I got it. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. So let's say someone consumes meat, right? So what I'll do is I'll show the options. So for example, this is like a tofu scramble. Okay. So we have like they could either do a tofu scramble, or they can just do like an omelet, right? So for example, 212 grams of extra firm tofu is like 35 grams of protein. But then if they want something that's equivalent to that, they could do 1.25, well, a cup and a quarter cup, 1.25 cups of egg whites, right? So they could do that, but then also include other, the plant-based foods in there. All right. Because again, with the egg whites, it has cholesterol in it, but it's more reduced because we're taking out the yolk. Okay. So that's something that I would recommend. And then even with the lean chicken breasts, with the lean steak, right? We have it all here. And then we have the plant-based food items that they can incorporate. but then I'll show them what types that they can do, and I'll also include like some options. So for example, like they could, if they do lean chicken breast, not every day they need to do that. They could also do during chicken. They can include the plant based, right? Or if they don't want to do eggs all the time, they could try out the tofu. So this is my approach when it comes to more of a holistic style. And again, as you can see, even when we create the plans, it's more holistic because they're getting all the proper nutrients that they need, and the proper dietary fiber without over consuming on just one particular protein item. Hopefully this all makes sense and it's coming together. And then lastly is the fats. Okay. So when it comes down to the fats, obviously you could get some healthy fats from like a little bit from the chicken, a little bit from the steak, a little bit from the extra firm tofu. Then you get some from like other items like sweet potatoes and things like that. But what we're looking at the most is right here, like the avocado. So as you can see, he's getting about 60 grams. A lot of it is coming from different types of plant-based foods that he's already consuming, but a primary source where he's going to get most of his fats just on this meal plan alone is going to be the avocados. And then what we do is throughout the program, we change out different types of meals so individuals are able to swap out different types of food items as they go. Because what we're trying to do is have people kind of have a better understanding of macro-friendly meals that's hyper-nourished. Okay? That's the end goal of it. So if you get these meals, you'll learn how to eat healthy and how to balance those meals out. But then every time we give the individual a new plan, it's different meals, different food items, so they can play around and get different nutrients from different types of foods and learn like, okay, I've eaten avocados, but okay, like maybe if I change up the foods around, I can incorporate Brazil nuts and cashews. So I can get like the selenium and the copper and zinc. Then switch it out again and create another combination so they can have almonds in that plan and pumpkin seeds, because a lot of foods are healthy, but what people have the most problem is really, especially people that's in my program, is learning how to let me shut this off. Learning how to get more balance, like how to build a balanced meal and making sure that they're getting all the nutrients that they need. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest issue. All right. So with that said, that's why, again, just recapping, this is why when it comes down to diets, definitely pick a diet that you're going to actually do for the rest of your life or for a long period of time. Just don't do something that's like short and quick. And then lastly, just make sure that you understand how to build balanced meals. And this is why I did this diet. And if you need more help, I have my students here. They can always text me through the messenger. We can always talk on our scheduled calls. But everyone else that's on live, if you're interested, definitely just send me a DM, especially on Instagram. Just type in meal plan. I'll go ahead and reach out to you, help you out, or comment down below Flex, and I'll send you my free ebook to also help you as well. All right. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.